And good morning, everybody. I apologize for the bit of a late start here. We were giving time for people to show up, and I know it's a school is out, and I'm sure a lot of our members have a lot of other things to catch up on after all the snow days. So um, we will start without them. I'll keep an eye on the waiting room, and let me just go to, we have a few guests that I would like to introduce. And Mel, it looks like you and I and Jeffrey are the only regulars from our group that are on here. So we can introduce real quick, and then I'll go to all the guests that are making time for us today. I am Teresa McDonald. I am on the board of the Derita Statesville Road Community Organization. This meeting is the Derita Matters meeting, which is really general information and discussion about what's going on, and to get the information out to the neighborhoods. Usually we have a lot more neighborhoods represented in this meeting, but it is recorded and folks can catch up later. And we try to make sure that everybody knows where they can provide input or have their questions answered, etc. So Mel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm a 25-year resident of the area, retired from the city of Charlotte, where I was procurement officer for 12 years, spending millions of the taxpayers' dollars. I serve on the board for the Derita Statesville Community Organization.
Thank you, Mel. Jeffrey.
Hey, I'm Jeffrey Simpson. I'm in the Derita area. I'm the president of my HOA here at Farmington HOA. I wear several different hats. I guess I'm just a glutton for pain. One of them is the Neighborhood Matching Grant. I'm also on the CRB, which is Citizens Review Board, was another one. And I'm also part of the Black Political Caucus. So quite a few things, and that's just a couple of things that I do, but glad to be part of the SRCO.
Thank you. And then we have a couple of county commissioners here with us. Let me go to Commissioner Altman.
Well, good morning again. It's lovely to join you. I look forward to hearing what's on your mind, and along with my wonderful colleague, Commissioner Griffin, seeing how we can support now and in the future.
Thank you. Speaking of Commissioner Griffin, are you able to introduce yourself?
Good morning. It's a joy. When I saw that Karen was going to be on here, that got my attention. So I wanted to hear her presentation, but thank you for the invitation. You certainly can dial 311 to get city code enforcement, to get them to check out vehicles in the neighborhood. I'll give an example. There are tractor trailers where the cab, not the entire trailer, but the cab is parked in a neighborhood. Code enforcement will come out and tell you have to park that someplace else. So just dial 311, you'll get city code enforcement and lodge whatever concerns you have, and they'll come out. But good morning. Thank you. I'm waiting to hear Karen, and thank you for the invitation from the Derita Statesville Road Community Organization. I'm a native Charlottean, and I remember Derita back in the day.
Good morning. Okay, and let's see, Melissa Gaston, fellow planning commissioner. I forgot to mention I am on the planning commission for the city of Charlotte, but one of my fellow commissioners is here. Melissa Gaston.
Morning, everyone. Melissa Gaston, As Teresa said, I am on the Planning Commission as well as her. I'm also the Executive Director for the North End Community Coalition, which covers the 8 neighborhoods that surround Camp North End. And I'm also a real estate agent championing for affordable housing, especially in that North End corridor, but all over the city of Charlotte. And I just recently moved to the Derita area. I live in Griffith Lakes, so the new community across from Davis Lake. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Mhm.
And then I'm sorry, we have somebody named Ira, and you were early, and would you introduce yourself? Ira? Maybe just listening.
Oh, I had my
Oh, hey.
I had my audio on mute.
No worries.
I just want to say good morning, everybody. I'm part of I live in the Allen Hill community, and I am a concerned citizen. This is my first time joining your virtual meeting here, so I'm just curious as to what's going on. I wants to know what's going on in my part of the world.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, you're a neighbor. I'm in Allen Hills as well.
Okay.
So glad to see you here. Okay. And I am gonna go straight to Karen Sullivan, and you can introduce yourself, and then are you going to have some slides to share?
Yes, I have a couple of images to share.
Okay. I'm gonna make you co-host.
Okay.
And yeah, we invited Karen to come and present to us on the red line. This is one of the big issues, the big development initiatives, etc., that's coming along, that we are keeping an eye on in Derita, as we have a station slated to be in downtown Derita. And so over to you, Karen. I don't have any really a slide to share with that subject, but are you able to
Yeah.
share? I might have to stop sharing. Let me do that.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, great. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the warm welcome and for the invitation to talk with you this morning. Um, My name is Karen Sullivan. I am a resident of the Sugar Creek Ritchie neighborhood for the past 3 years. And I've worked with many of you as a reporter for the Charlotte Observer and columnist, which Teresa mentioned in her note. Um, since moving to Sugar Creek Ritchie, I've been connected with North End Partners as this Red Line project became the priority rail project for the city. And my concern with the red line stems from the fact that, as you see, the train travels from uptown Charlotte to Davidson and eventually may go to Mooresville. But that first 6 miles, there are no stations. 6 miles, and these are some of the most diverse neighborhoods along the route, which I think is 26 miles. You can see that here in the lower corner in this inset area, Camp North End has petitioned for a station there. It makes sense. This is an existing rail line that Norfolk Southern has agreed to sell to the city. The city did buy it using Charlotte taxpayer money, and it will provide transformative benefits for the communities that have stations. And so we'd like to see a station added. If we get a station at Camp North End, that 6 miles would shrink to about 4 miles. We've asked for a station at West Craighead Road, which you can see on the bigger portion of the screen, It's the green road of the bigger portion of the image. It's the green air, the road here. And that would sort of break up that 4 mile gap that would exist if we have a station at Camp North End. And cats seem to feel like that station could be approved. Of course, now that the 1 cent sales tax has been approved, we have a new board that is managing this project and making decisions about the project. And we've got a new Red Line Commuter Coalition that has just launched in the North End area to work with the new board, the Metropolitan Public Transit Authority, to let them know of our request and to advocate for that. So as we look at the green area, this is Craighead Road. We feel like this is a strategic location because once the red line is built, we will not have a way to connect the red and the blue lines. And so the intention is to have the yellow line connect from the Uptown station and have that connect to the blue line. But the yellow line is not an approved project, so that would come later. In the meantime, we feel there's an opportunity to have micro transit along West Craighead Road, and this would give North End access to 2 blue line stations from the red line, or anyone who's traveling through this area could access 2 blue line stations from the red line. And those are the station at Sugar Creek Road and the station at 36th Street. We've worked with the planning department, as Katz has advised us to do. Katz was concerned that the area on West Craighead, which is here at North Graham Street and West Craighead, Katz was concerned that the area is zoned industrial. And we know that many of the Blue Line stations were also zoned industrial, so we didn't see that should be a huge hindrance. But we worked with the planning department. The planning department, as it has moved through the development of area plans, has decided to designate this area as under consideration for change. So we feel like that's a huge step forward for the project. We plan to meet with the new board and its advisory board next week to share these ideas and our proposal. And we also have a petition for residents and friends of North End who would like to show their support for this idea. Because again, the route from Uptown to Derita, that is 6 miles, that's the longest gap in service along the route. Twice the train will stop after traveling just 1.5 miles. That's here at Eastfield and Hambright, and again to the north between Cornelius and Davidson. Those stations are very close together. We feel like economic development and investment in North End is hugely important to revitalization that's already started in North End. As you know, here in the areas Tryon Hills, Druid Hills, Bright Walk, all along Statesville Avenue, Graham Street, and Tryon Street, Charlotte's Main Street, we're seeing a lot of new development coming into those areas. The demographics have changed, and so it's a very area close to downtown, and it's ideal for transit. And many properties around this West Craighead corridor are underutilized, and as we saw along the Blue Line stations here, new residences popped up, expanding the city's tax base, and we know the same would happen here. So we'd love to see that investment in North End and to make sure that bus transportation is not the only form of transportation that residents and visitors have when they're in this area along Graham Street. So thank you so much. I'll answer any questions and I'll put our link to the petition in the chat so that you can take a look at that and get more information about the project. So thank you again for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And I'll start sharing now.
I have a quick one. I'm Jeffrey
Sure.
Simpson.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Maybe it was a rumor, or maybe I misunderstood, Teresa. I thought they were entertaining placing a stop on almost near the corner of Graham and Sugar Creek, or Graham and Sugar Creek, if I'm correct.
So here's Sugar
Or
Creek.
was it Graham and Mallet Creek? It was one of them.
Here's Sugar Creek here. You do have the Derita station here. It's already on the route.
Yeah, the Derita station is slated to be around the corner of Nevin and Gibbon, Jeffrey, if you know where that is. And I can pull up more of a map so that we can look at that. But yeah, the Derita station, we had a focus group with the team sometime in the last year, where they really analyzed two different proposed locations for the Derita station. But the conclusion was, with from all sorts of factors, was that at Nevin and Gibbon was the best location because of that curve, basically. Downtown Derita is actually right in that curve, where the train line makes a big curve to the left there.
Yeah.
And so, we thought a station more around Maria's, in that area would be a better location, but for various and sundry engineering reasons, because this is heavy freight line, it's a different gauge track. They're going to be different trains. It's not light rail. There were reasons given that, that led to that location at Nevin and Gibbon, which will create another center of gravity in downtown Derita, which will bring a lot of investment and benefits, and even to the rest. From Maria's to that place is probably a tenth of a mile, so it's still roughly in the same area. But yeah, the other location they were considering at that time, Jeffrey, which may be what you're remembering, was something on North Graham, and I should try to get to a map so that I can point it out. But yeah, that location was basically eliminated from discussion for many reasons that I accept, not being a magician or an engineer.
Teresa, and I would mention again that this is an existing rail line, so the track is already there. They're just looking at where to put stations along the route.
Yes, exactly. So, and that's the reason why we have probably more trade-offs than with the blue line, because we're using the existing tracks. There's some saving that comes from that, but it is a freight line, and so it has a different gauge, and you can't put light rail trains on it, and so on. So
any other questions about that?
Yeah.
Well, if I can just
Right.
jump in here first. Oh, I'm sorry. Was someone else going to speak?
I'm
Yes, I
not
have
sure.
a comment. Hello.
Oh, Mel.
Yes, for some reason my audio's not on. There it is. Okay. Uh, yeah, just a comment. If it came down to be a choice between Craighead and Camp North End, I'm a little bit inclined to go with Camp North End because I know it has much more area-wide interest. So this, that's just a comment. I'm real familiar with Craighead because I often take that route frequently to Noda, and I know that has a lot of area-wide interest. But I just think that's a component that you need to think about.
Well, thank you for that comment. And I would say it shouldn't be a choice that we should have equitable access for all communities. And we should look at the entire alignment of the route and make sure that the stops are proportionate so that you don't have huge gaps in service, and then some where the train is stopping after only a mile and a half. So we should re-examine the entire route and make sure everyone has equitable access.
Good answer.
Yeah, I agree. Commissioner Griffin,
Yeah,
I see you have your hand up.
yeah. Just Karen, from the Gateway Station to Derita, is that 6 miles? Is that what
6 miles, yes,
And based on what little knowledge I have on this transit-oriented development,
yes,
the purpose of transit is to improve opportunities, both economic opportunities and opportunities for people to go to work. So if Atrium has job openings, which they're expanding in the north, both in the Mooresville, the upper end of the county and adjacent county, it would make more sense to have stations so that individuals can access uh, opportunities. I know I'm retired, but there are people still in the workforce
yes,
that love to have an opportunity to go to work at several of the companies that we've supported through our business improvement plans like Corning and others going up north,
yes,
that people from this area could seek living wage jobs. The other piece is this connector. So if you're going to use the blue line to transfer, if you've lived in other metropolitan places around the world or this country, you get off one line and then you get on another line to broaden your access. Can you speak just a little bit about your this green line from Craighead to the blue line?
yes. So the green line is Craighead Road. And thank you for the comments about opportunity because that is critical that all communities and all residents have access to opportunities, education, um, social connections. And so, yes, that makes it important that we have careful distribution of the stations. So the West Craighead Road, as you look at the east-west connecting road in this area that might provide access to the blue line, there are only a couple. Matheson Street, but it's got that odd loop when you get uh, to sort of here near the blue. There's Matheson there. So if you were to try to connect from Graham to Matheson, it's a little bit tricky. Um, Sugar Creek is really busy and doesn't really, there's so much traffic along Sugar Creek that it would not be a great option for pedestrian friendly movement. Craighead is 2 lanes and is better for pedestrian oriented movement. And in addition to opportunity, um, transit should also provide connectivity and better mobility, which you mentioned that in other cities, the you shouldn't have to actually leave the system to transfer to another line. But because the yellow line will be developed later, this would be an important strategic interim point to improve connectivity and mobility for going up to Mooresville or Davidson for the time being. So Craighead is 2 lanes. It's got sidewalks on one side, but uh, other improvements are planned, bike lanes, and that'll also be an important way to travel between the two bikes for some residents. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, just one thought came up.
Yeah.
Davison gets to come down to our venues here in Charlotte. Have you had an opportunity to talk to folk that are a little bit younger than we are on the call, like youth? Because kids would love to go to Davidson College. I mean, to take transportation, maybe to go up for classes and come back home. What are younger people saying? Are they engaged in this discussion also?
Well, to be honest, we have not had a lot of young people engaged in the conversation. I've been to some of the events in the area to get signatures for the petition, and that's where I've had more interaction with younger members of the community. And they say that, buses shouldn't be the only way that they can move around. Taking buses shouldn't be the only way that they can move around when if they're trying to go to work, they need a faster way to move around the city, and transit would provide that. So that's been the strongest comment that I've heard from uh, people still in the workforce.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for your interest.
I and sorry, I know I must go back to Commissioner Altman, but just quickly, the length, what is the distance or the length of West Craighead there from
I
where
think
it would
it
hit
is,
the blue line to
yes.
Graham Street?
From Graham to the Blue Line is about 2 miles.
That's a 2 mile distance. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Commissioner Altman, I'm sorry, you were going to say something and
No,
I'm
no, no.
sorry, Teresa.
That's
yeah.
oh,
I'm sorry. This is Jill. I joined a little bit late, but did I misunderstand, or is the West Craighead, that discussion? Are we saying that they will have to get off of the red line and walk or bike or find another way to get to the blue line?
until the yellow line is built, that would be correct.
Oh, that's very
Yeah, yeah.
discouraging.
And without a station at West Craighead, then how would that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. So the station at West Craighead is the subject of this discussion, the proposed or the advocacy for a station here.
So,
Okay.
and my point about how would that happen even if we had a station at Camp North End, that would not give you a direct connection through straight across to the blue line. We've got the huge rail yard here that you see. You're familiar with that in the NODA area and along Brevard in Optimus Park area. So you can't just bring a connection from here. Matheson is here. It might be an option, but Craighead again gives you access to 2 Blue Line stations.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. Commissioner Altman.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I would love to be added to the mailing list because this is a great conversation, and I wasn't aware of this regular Zoom occurring, and I would love to uh, continue to hear and get input. A couple things. So as you know, there and as Karen laid out, there's a new transit board and it's got 27 members and the county appointed six. That is the number that we have. And one of them is our county manager, who is phenomenal. They're all phenomenal, but obviously we see and speak to him a little more frequently. Um, so, you know, you're absolutely doing the right things in terms of engaging with the transit advisory board for the new transit authority so that they can get that input and so that staff can get your point of view on all of this. I think that, I don't have the time frames. In fact, I texted over to Katz when the conversation started to see if I could get any kind of update from their point of view, because obviously it's highly, highly technical. And by the way, I'm really impressed by Karen and Teresa. I mean, like, and all of you, like, really have mastered some of these technical details. Um, in an impressive way, like understanding there are different kinds of rail. They're not all the same. They can't just sync up. The sort of lead time to hit the brakes on a passenger rail is different than a light rail, which can affect how many stations you have. Like you guys are ahead of me with a lot of this. Let's see. I just said, is there any update from Kat's point of view? He said, there is no update. We continue. I'm just the messenger. I'm just the messenger. I'm reading unfiltered. We continue to question the utility of that station for many reasons. However, we absolutely see the need for a North End station, and we are planning for that. So I don't, I just want, I like to try to reduce confusion so that we can have a clear conversation about what's actually happening. And so I think it would be awesome if you haven't had someone from CATS come address you. And recently, I know you've talked, clearly you're having engagement, but if you haven't done it in the last 6 months, this is changing a lot. I think it would be great for them to hear from all of you and for all of you to get the download on what their current impediments and concerns are and how that fits into the big picture. The other thing that I would say is, um, while I do not recommend taking your foot off the gas, I would also say that this is, I mean, again, I would want them to confirm the timelines, but they have so much work to do just to get the authority. Like they don't have a CEO confirmed. They're working on their policies and procedures around ethics, which is very important. Don't get me wrong, but like they aren't like solidifying this week. Not even close. In fact, my understanding, and again, I'm no longer on the inner circle. That would be the board members, but that rolling out microtransit, conducting public engagement across the county so that they can confirm that they are situating each of the 18 microtransit zones with the best footprint to encompass the most number of people with an equity lens and the most need to, all the different three-dimensional chess they need to think about around maximizing the utility of the microtransit zones. I think that's going to be, you know, where you want to lean in also, like, because that's going to roll out sooner and want to be sure that that gets maximized for some of what you're discussing here. And so I would just ask you to keep microtransit on the map because as awesome as rail is, it's got a pretty, it's got the footprint that it has. Whereas if you talk about increasing 15-minute routes across all the parts of the county, whereas right now we just have one route that's 15 minutes. We're going to have 15-minute routes, across the county, and you add the overlay of the 18 microtransit zones. You're talking about expanding access to like 450,000 people. And so we really want to lean into the conversation around bus and microtransit because it's it's going to have the multiplier effect that just rail's never going to have in terms of giving access to people who need transit. I understand your focus on other things like economic development. That's huge and important, but we also just want to be sure we're connecting people to get from point A to point B. Just some food.
A question for you, Commissioner Altman. So, because of your familiarity with the Red Line project, so before the new board became the authority for this project, we were in the design phase again. We were reviewing the design for the Red Line, and the design phase is where the decisions about station locations takes place. Has the design phase been put on hold as well? Because we know that if we don't get this done during the design phase, then we're too late.
That is a great question. Let me pose it and see if I can get an authoritative answer. What is the horizon of the design phase for the Red Line?
Yes.
But my hunch is whatever has sort of been evolved, heretofore, when the new board gets seated, that, they're going to have the authority to 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 look at the, I mean, like there are parts of the transit plan that are fixed by statute. Like the O line has to go first. And, and the 40-40-20, there are things in the statute that nothing and no one can change, including the transit board. But if it's not in the statute, it is going to be up to the transit board to balance all the input, all the needs with the money that they have under the parameters of the statute. So I think another important question is to find out, and I'll try to see if I can get that too. But I would imagine, that we're going to need to really watch what the new board does. But let me see if I can. You asked the horizon and for the design phase for the Red Line. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I will do that right now.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing that I think it's important to ask about the county, the city, the planning department all have policies that require equitable access to amenities, including transportation. And this current route falls short of that. So where does the responsibility lie with each of these groups to ensure equitable access for everyone, for all communities?
If I can make a comment, and I want to follow up more on this with the microtransit, because it's always struck me that we have a major problem in the city of Charlotte because of our pattern of development over the last several decades, probably close to 50 years. Our pattern of development means that rail is not an easy way to serve existing neighborhoods. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about the older neighborhoods that are closer into town, which already have the rail going right through them or very close.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different discussion. But just with the expense of rail and the problem that you still have, even once you have the rail, of getting people from where they live to the station and then from the station to wherever they're going, you're still dealing with a pattern of roads and development that just doesn't support safe ways to do that, from the distances involved to the lack of sidewalks and just the lack of traffic calming, and the lack of bike lanes or options to move safely between stations and your destinations. So I understand that microtransit is probably the better solution. And when I say microtransit, it's a bit of a buzzword. So, we need to kind of understand what that could be. And my understanding, I think, is that it could be different size vehicles, different and paths, multi-use paths, that, or perhaps sharing lanes with passenger vehicles, cars and trucks and so on. But
Yeah.
scooters, smaller, like electric passenger vehicles. I don't know what all, but I really do want to follow the micro transit zone conversation more so, because it's even in Derita with the station that we have, to actually allow the neighborhoods that are on the ground already to be able, for those folks to be able to get to the station in a safe, pleasant manner, is going to be a challenge, because we don't have a grid pattern of development as they do in Tryon Hills and Druid Hills. It's more of a grid, I think. Off Gibbon Road, we have cul-de-sac neighborhoods with, just a warren of cul-de-sacs, and there's you could live a tenth of a mile from the station, but to follow the road from your house to the station, it could be a mile. So, lots of problems to solve because of the pattern of development and the sprawl. And so rail, while yes, it does bring economic development, and we already live with all the negative effects. We've done that for decades with Norfolk Southern, who was not a good neighbor at all in terms of maintaining their crossings, never mind, their the land, their right of way on either side of the railroad tracks. We've dealt with the negative effects of having a rail line, which negatively affects property values and so on. Economic development would have the opposite, effect.
Teresa, one other thing to consider is the pattern of urban development that most cities are adopting now. They are reducing the requirement for developers to have parking. So density is becoming more important to reduce the costs that cities have to, that cities incur when sprawl occurs, when everyone is spread out. It costs more to deliver services.
Especially snow removal. I mean, that
Things like
really
that.
illustrates the problem.
So there's a focus now in urban planning on creating more density, less parking. And so transit becomes a very important consideration with that pattern. We see that happening in North End, in this inset area where you have Tryon Street. I'll use the big map. All in this area, the close-in neighborhoods that are close to downtown. We see more intense development happening there, bigger communities, less parking. Transit will be important to the community. And certainly we've seen disinvestment in these areas over many decades, and we don't want that to continue as urbanization happens, as more people move to cities, construction becomes more dense, there's less parking, we want access to transit. And the comment that I've heard when I was out getting signatures for the petition is that people are afraid they'll be standing at the bus stop while the train moves by. Microtransit is great for those short distances, but not for the long distances and where traffic becomes more of an issue. And equitable access is important for the North End community.
Thank you.
I did get an update. Would you like me to
Yeah,
read?
sorry, I saw your message about the email. I mean, the images that you've put in chat. I can see the images in chat. I don't know if you wanted to share them
Sure.
Yeah, and then I think I can make you a co-host and
Oh,
allow you to share.
no, I'll mess that up. Are you able
Okay.
to sort of drag or I don't know if you can just click on them as uh,
I'm not sure. I can, yeah, if I share my screen, possibly.
if you can
Uh,
click in the chat.
yeah, except I can't see where. I don't know where the share button is gone on my screen.
But
So,
you don't need to share. Oh, right. Yeah, you do.
okay, I can't minimize that. Sorry, I learned Zoom under pressure once a month and then forget everything I ever learned. Um, I cannot even figure out how
Looks
I
like the
can
share
go.
button is to the
How,
right of the react, the heart.
yeah, I see Paul. Maybe oh,
You
there we
might
go.
have to
I
enlarge your
couldn't find
screen.
it. I found it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Hey, Karen,
Yes.
you know what? This is Ira. I'm gonna have to leave you guys because I have an appointment. But can I comment a minute about the rail?
Of course. Yes.
Well, is Norfolk Southern going to totally abandon that line?
I think that Norfolk Southern maintains limited use. I'm not sure. Commissioner Altman,
Yeah,
maybe.
I do think uh, the city of Charlotte purchased rights to the Red Line. And
Oh,
so I don't think that Norfolk Southern has no access or no use, but that's kind of the summary of my understanding.
Yeah,
okay.
if I can add my understanding too is that they at least the section of the rail through Derita, um, they only run a couple of trains a day. They have, from what I understand, really only two customers still um on that alignment on that section of rail. There's a lumber yard on Old Statesville Road, large lumber yard, and then there's the scrap metal place on off David Cox, kind of close to David Cox, and those are the two customers that they still have. So, um, the way cities grow, those kinds of uses within cities as cities transition to more residential and more kind of city land use, those kinds of industrial uses do transition out, as we've seen, like the pipe foundry that was right next to uptown Charlotte has moved out to, I believe, Salisbury. So, that's just one extreme example, but and all along the south end, the blue line, that those industrial zones have transitioned slowly to residential and other mixed uses.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm sure in 10 years that lumber yard probably would move to a different location,
Yeah.
and Norfolk Southern would no longer be running trains to that. And then the scrap metal too, it's sort of jarring to see a big scrap metal place right outside Griffith Lakes and Davis Lake.
Can I, Ira
But
has
it was there
Ira has
first, as far as I know. But this is what cities do: is as they grow, um, the the zones that are not residential kind of get pushed further and further out, which
Karen, the reason
natural
Teresa.
process.
Teresa, can Ira, if he's the Ira that I know, Ira has a little bit of expertise in this area.
Yeah, well, Griffin and I'm a native just as Griffin is, and in fact, we were both classmates, second ward.
Mm.
Um, anyway, I retired from Norfolk Southern, and in my last few years of working that line, that was my route on that particular line you're speaking about, the red line. The reason I asked was North or Southern going to totally abandon that line. If they do, then there is an existing rail already from Graham Street to Tryon Street unto the yard.
Hmm.
So if you was trying to connect the blue line to the red line, that might be a considerate route between Tando Junction and Graham Street, which we used to call it Graham Street, where Tando, where that rail crosses Graham Street there to go up on the red line. There's a
Yeah.
line that line would be totally abandoned if they didn't use it. And I say it's already there. The pathway is already there from Graham to Tryon Street over into the yard. So I don't know if they could probably use a little trolley or something to connect the blue line to that red line through that pathway.
Well, that's interesting. I'll have to look at the map again and get more information about that and see if it can connect to those two blue line stations there. Thank
Okay.
you for that information.
Okay, thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ira. That's awesome. I'm glad that you were able to tell us a little bit more about Norfolk Southern. And I said they were bad neighbors. I'm sorry. I know that had nothing to do
It's
with you.
okay. Hey, I agree with you. It's like pulling hen tooth to try to keep them to maintain those crossings. I mean, the crossings was, in certain places was terrible, but hey, it was like that for years and years, and it took almost an act of Congress to get them to fix those crossings.
I know. Yeah, Sylvia Cannon is not on the call, but I'm sure you guys all know Sylvia Cannon. She is the president of Derita Statesville Road, and going back, decades as well, with dealing with Norfolk Southern and the crossings, because we have two crossings coming into Allen Hills. So
Great.
as you know.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's a great idea. Our goal is to close that 6 mile gap, and however we can do that, we should have two stations to create proportion. So we'll look at that area again.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a fundamental flaw that there could be 6 miles through the biggest, most dense section of, through the city of Charlotte,
Yeah.
that is not served by this new rail line. So
Through rapidly growing neighborhoods,
yeah, yeah. The other thing I wanted to say was just I being on the planning commission and sitting through city council rezoning meetings and public hearings and so on. I just wonder, and this is a little bit of a devil's advocate position, I just wonder how the neighbors would actually feel about the transformative benefits that you're talking about, because once people understand that means things are going to change in their backyard, adding density, adding more residents, adding taller buildings, just politically, it becomes a different conversation when people are facing actual rezonings in their in and close to their neighborhoods, and then it turns out that large numbers of people don't want to see that kind of change that would come with having a station nearby. And so that was just something I wanted to throw out there, because
yeah.
there are a lot of people who want to see that kind of change and understand that we need more people, more density, taller buildings. They need to come and talk to city council because we're only hearing from people who don't want change and oppose density and so on. So,
here's an interesting fact about this corridor on Graham Street. It's already got large properties there. The changes are coming anyway because the train is coming through. and more people are moving to cities. It's a trend across the world. So more change is coming. Um, the train is coming through, and there are large industrial tracts all along Graham Street that, just as we saw with the Blue Line, those many of those are underperforming and they are suitable for dense development. The tracts are already large, they're underutilized, and so if we are going to see density, it probably should be along these corridors, and less residential would have less of an environmental burden than many of the industrial sites. So that's another perspective on what's coming.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Altman, did you want to say something? I just see your chat now. I apologize.
Sure, sure, sure. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to run because I've got a
Yeah.
10 a.m. But the, you know, I put the answer to Karen's question in the chat for people to read. I've got a link there so you can see what micro transit cars look like. They're really nice cars. They're really nice branded vehicles. Um, I had actually a senior, an older couple go from Matthews to North Mecklenburg, where there's currently microtransit, and spend the day tooling around using the app, and they loved it. They wanted to test drive it out for, proof of concept. And then the map, there's something that says BOCC District 3. I don't know if you can open that really fast for everybody
In the
to see.
chat,
Yes, ma'am.
um, VOCC District 3. I'm looking. Oh, there we go. And tell me if you see, oh, it's having me save it. Let me see if I can open it.
But I can definitely email that. I saw
Yeah, if you
where
email
you asked me
everything
to,
to me,
yeah, I'll email it to you, but it shows the integration of the
are you guys seeing that now? The PDF that I opened?
No.
No.
Teresa, I emailed it to you. I opened it up and emailed it to you.
Yeah,
So
I've
to Derita
opened it.
News.
I'm just trying to figure out how to share the right thing so you guys can see it.
Maybe I can
Let's
share it. Let
see.
me try that.
Well, I think I did it.
Okay.
Are you seeing it now?
No.
County Commission District 3?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
now we do.
So
Okay, so this is
the
the
spaces,
micro.
yeah, the spaces that are shaded in like tan or pink are the microtransit zones within which and they're just a draft. Cats or whatever the system is called will need to conduct extensive public engagement to learn from the neighbors. Oh, you like miss this senior living facility. There are 1,000 people living here. You need to move the bubble over a little bit. Like so they need to come out into the community, hear from the people who live in each of these areas. Is this the best boundary? But the concept is if to try to lay the bubbles on top of the densest areas where it'll do the most good. And anywhere within the bubble, you can use your phone and call that branded vehicle there on the picture for $2.20 or $1.10 if you're a senior citizen and get taken anywhere in the bubble, including to a bus line, which is on another PDF I dropped in there because there's going to be a lot more frequency along the bus lines, or to a rail line and get a free transfer. So you don't pay again.
Mhm.
And so that's how the system tries to meet the needs of, we don't have microtransit everywhere. We don't have it 100% across the county. But trying to triage the most high dense areas and that kind of thing. This is the current plan. So anyway,
Okay,
So,
that's very encouraging.
yeah.
Somebody else got a question?
yeah, can you zoom in on that area um, around our district? Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also, there's 2 or 3 pages to this PDF. If you scroll, it might give you, I can't remember what's on the second and third
yeah.
page.
D-
So it's the TAN, is that correct? It's
Yes,
the
the TAN is the microtransit, the proposed, not fixed, not final microtransit zones.
So
mhm.
it looks like there's a gap right
All this white area here
more toward Tryon Street.
and
Um,
here below
yeah,
below
right through
85.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and coming across to the east. Let's see. Um, it looks like there's a gap right in there, kind of right where the transit gap is.
So I just want to reiterate, this is a draft. They need to hear from you about microtransit and to get it right. They haven't begun that engagement. I do apologize. I have to roll off,
Okay.
but
Thank you,
I whatever
though.
I can do to connect you to them or make sure that these conversations are happening, I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Commissioner, for
much.
the information.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that we have to have more discussion about this microtransit because
Yeah,
yeah, it looks
yeah.
like this area right here
But thank you. So we can
along
take a
Graham
look at
Street.
this and we can get involved now. Thank you, Commissioner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
I'm gonna have to
I mean,
roll off
obviously
too.
there's
Teresa,
yes,
I apologize. Unfortunately, I got to go put on a suit and tie and go to a meeting.
we
Uh,
appreciate it.
being Ira and I both grew up here in Charlotte, and we've seen how rails even in transit occurred in downtown Charlotte, where we grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen how the city has redirected streets and roads to accommodate whatever the public policy is. So I never subscribe to the notion that we can't redirect roads and policy because I've lived through it. I've lived through, you never want to live near an airport till you got River District. So
Right.
I just,
Yeah.
you know, there are lots of things that we've lived through. But I think the transit works best in large areas. We are becoming much more metropolitan and dense, and it just works better. So I like the fact, Karen, that you have continued your advocacy. I'll get with my high school classmate and pull on his expertise, his rail expertise, and I'll get back to you and see what we can do about connections. But keep in mind, this is a two-way street. It's not just the north coming into the city. It's the opportunity for the city to go up to the north. And so more opportunities and equitable opportunities is a hallmark of Charlotte City government and Mecklenburg County government. And we'll certainly try to keep that in mind. But thank you, Teresa. Thank you all for
Thank you,
inviting me
Commissioner.
and
Thank
look forward to further interactions with you. Take care.
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank you for coming. Um, all right, Karen. So, folks, grab what you need out of the chat and email deritanews@gmail. If you can, Karen, and I asked Lee the same thing. Hopefully I can save everything from the chat myself so I can share it more widely on our mailing list and social media and stuff. And yeah, obviously a lot more conversations to be had, and unfortunately the new transit board sounds like they're going to take about 18 months just to set up their processes and procedures and board, committees and whatever, before we'll start to see anything actually happening. Not to rail. I'm getting too old. I don't know if I'll see this in my lifetime, but yeah, we've got to have the conversations before stuff gets somewhat set in stone.
Teresa, I'm not able to copy and paste from the chat, so if
Okay.
if you are able to copy this over.
Yes. Yeah, I believe I have a way to save the whole chat. So before I end the meeting,
Okay.
I'll make sure I can stop the recording and then fiddle around
Okay.
to make sure I get all that stuff. But that was wonderful to have the county commissioners on here because
It was
they
wonderful.
do have such a broad
Yeah.
view of the needs of the whole county, which is a great perspective.
Yes.
And then they're used to having to deal with all the different parts of the city to figure out how to get answers and action. So
Well,
that was great, and I think we have Karen to thank for that. So
well,
thank
thank
you,
you
and
for
Aya
inviting
too.
me.
Um,
Thank you for inviting me.
yeah.
And Mel, it's great to see you again. And Melissa, you're busy working in North End. I hope we can connect sometime soon.
We do. We definitely need to connect. So
I would like
I'll
that.
get your contact information from Teresa and
Great.
we'll definitely connect. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, thank you, Karen. And yeah, we do remember you from your Charlotte Observer days because you were always a reliable person we could call to get some reporting on things. And I'm thinking of the road construction that was
Yes.
a
Oh, that
big
was a big
story in
project.
Derita for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that was years in the
Yes.
making.
Yeah,
Well,
we still can't even say NCDOT without triggering bad memories of all of that. So
it was a slow process. I was surprised how slow it was. My goodness.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I learned a lot during that process too, just about how we have all these utilities underground.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't think we're going to deal with that with a rail line that's been there all this
No.
time. But
No.
with stuff on the roads and relocating roads and so on, as Commissioner Griffin was just mentioning, yeah, you start to deal with utilities that are underground and stuff that the utility survey doesn't even uncover, and that was really at the root of the issues. The
It-
delays with the North Graham Street extension was
yeah.
that during construction they would keep coming across stuff underground and had to figure out who it belonged to and what it would take to relocate, and it was crazy.
Well, before I leave you, I'd say this map of the microtransit zones is it should I'll definitely bring this to the North End group and our coalition because there are major gaps right through our
Yes.
territory here. So
Yeah, there
glad
there's
to
there
be able
seems
to
to
see
be an
this.
obvious big gap below 85.
Yes,
Yeah. And
all
then just
along
this
Graham
little
Street.
section along Graham, this is, and I didn't cover that with our Derita Matters meetings, but we mostly focus north of Graham Street and east of 77 and then inside Harris Boulevard. So, this little area here, yeah, definitely needs to be included in a micro transit zone.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're left out twice. We're not on
Yes.
the red line map and we're not on the in places here we're not on the
On
microtransit
the
map.
micro transit. Yeah, yeah.
So
So
we have to keep pushing for equity. Well, thank you again. I'm working today, so I'm going to leave you now, but it's been a pleasure connecting with you and thank you for the invitation, Teresa.
all right. No, my pleasure. I think it's a good conversation, and I hope folks will catch up on the YouTube recording, and we can continue, to follow the transit board as they start to dig into these issues, um, and with the county commission and the city and how it all intertwines very confusingly, but hopefully we can start to make sense of it. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll leave you with a request. If you wouldn't mind sharing the link that's in the chat to our petition for anyone who wants to support a station at West Craighead, we would love to for them to have this information.
Okay.
Okay. Have a
Yes.
great day, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your time.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye.
Felicia, I see that you joined the call. That was you that raised the question about the trucks on Oneida in our, I don't know if Felicia can talk, but okay, folks, I don't have anything really, anything new in our Derita area other than, these are big conversations that are going to be going on both with the micro transit, which is going to be a shorter term, something that we will see in the next few years. And if you have an opportunity to test some of that stuff, the micro transit really is amazing because it will pick you up at your door and take you door to door. And so I do think that that is going to be a much more dynamic solution to getting access for a lot of our communities, especially our cul-de-sacs neighborhoods where there just isn't an easy way to walk to the nearest bus stop, or even rail station. Sorry, my cat, I don't know if you can see her, but she is insisting on having some attention.
I have a comment about the microtransit.
Yes.
I think it's a very interesting and worthwhile solution to a long-standing problem. I have an analogy I've always used. Most transportation systems, roads, light rail lines, are basically spokes in a very large wheel. And the center of the wheel is downtown Charlotte. So traditionally, for a very, very long time, transfers happened at the center of the wheel, which is downtown. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but that becomes more and more problematic when you have high growth out near the rim of the wheel. So I have long thought there needs to be more rim rides. In other words, ways to get from one spoke to another spoke. Okay, so this microtransit is a interesting solution to try to address that. But I am also convinced, maybe not so much Craighead, but there are lots of places in our city as it grows where we need rim rides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. And I always, when I help people relocate to the area, I would describe the city as either a web, it's like a spider's web, or a wheel. But the same idea, the center of the wheel is uptown, and then the spokes are Central Avenue, Independence, Wilkinson Boulevard, and you can see them if you were looking at a map. You would see those spokes, and we would call those spokes corridors.
Yeah.
And so the city's planning used to refer to corridors and wedges, and probably still does. Like when they're looking at something, is this parcel considered to be on a corridor, or is it in the wedge? And yeah, what you're talking about is those I don't know what they would rim in the wheel analogy, and then I don't know what the spider would call them, but those ring roads are Harris Boulevard is almost a complete ring road. Certainly Wendover, the 4 is almost, it changes its name as it goes around the city, and it doesn't do a full loop. but Wendover is another of those. Sharon Amity is one. So yeah, those ring roads.
Well, they're not
The big one
necessarily
is
they're not
485.
they're not necessarily convenient for the large numbers of people, and you know there needs to be more transportation available, and some people just don't have cars. There's a good
Right.
reason to have the micro transit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, and the city really was built for cars, and so you know, the micro transit fits that pattern a little bit better, and it may be an interim solution, but um a lot of neighborhoods are never going to be well served by rail without some kind of micro transit component anyway. So yeah, I'm excited about this, the micro transit. So we'll focus on that. Those are two things. So let me just, before we finish up, and I know there's only 4 people left here, but there is a town hall with for District 2, Councilmember Graham. Kerry, if you're still on the call, I hope you can get to that tonight. I
Yeah.
cannot. I'm about to go on vacation for 2 weeks, so I will not be able to attend the stuff that's coming up in February. But there are community area planning sessions as well as these town halls. Luana Mayfield has one as well. And they're a good, it's a good place to get to see. Usually they will have all the city departments there, and they will present information and they'll take input and questions. So the town halls will be great. I mean, the other big thing going on is the 77, the widening of 77, or the expansion. I don't know, that sounds like they're trying to do a double-decker situation.
Yeah, Teresa, it sounds like that they have approved the plan to raise the lane. So they're trying to not interfere with the cemetery on 77, and Wesley Heights and those areas in Fraser Park. But a lot of the community members are really upset about the fact that, again, you're clearing out affordable housing, subsidized housing for the elderly, the disabled, and people who need that access to uptown. And so, to Author's point, this is a growing city, but if there is another way to be able to mitigate historical, I mean, not mitigate, but to at least try to save some of the historical neighborhoods, that's what people really want. But I think also the bigger thing is that these are going to be toll lanes, right? So we don't want any more toll lanes either. I know we need them, but someone like me who is, when I am commuting to uptown after dropping my son off at school, if I have to sit in traffic, I will, but you will pay probably $7 one way just to get uptown. That's one way, and that's outside of paying for parking during peak hours coming from Huntersville to the uptown area. And a lot of people are really against that. So yes, I will be attending the town hall this evening, and I will be there to hear what the community has to say. I just really wish that, you know, I wish our council member would show up for more than just development meetings and the growth of West Charlotte. But yeah, I'll fill you in if there's anything else to share after that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that would be great. I will not be able to get to that, and then I do have the details on the other town hall, so I will send that out in the follow-up from this. But yeah, as far as Derita goes, our station, our land use, we need to stay on top of that as well, and making sure that with all the benefits that come from having a station, even a potential station, you start to see land changing hands, and rezoning and so on start to to show up, even without, you know, even with the rail line being 10 years out. So we'll stay on that, and thank you everybody for being here. And next month will be Zoom first Thursday, March. Oh my gosh. I'm going to stop the recording so that I can figure out how to save all this stuff from the chat. But thank you very much for